Welcome to the 2017 installment of our Football Officials video training series. We're studying the National Federation of High School Rules, 5-Man Mechanics. This video is produced by the Arkansas Association of High School Officials. Visit our website at aahso.com. We're helping good officials get better. Technical assistance provided by Dax Hill, Greg Downham, and George Demetrio. Our video director is Matt Bivens, assisted by Chuck Scott. Produced by Kenny Sanders. Executive producers Walt Coleman. I'm your host, Todd Allen. You want to be a better football official every week when you step on the field, and rules knowledge is the foundation of any good official. But the rule book can be overly technical, dry, and boring. It's just hard to stay focused. I personally recommend the Reading Study Guide for the NFHS rules. Its easy reading style are both informative and fun. The general overviews, in-depth discussions, and quizzes give a great practical application of the rules. I've taught football officiating to hundreds of officials, but I never hesitate to recommend the Reading Study Guide to the NFHS rules. When you're through learning, you're through. Start this week off a little bit differently. A play involving the referee and a false start. We don't see that very often, but watch this back right here on the left side. And he just mistimes the snap count, tries to make it look like he's resetting. The referee lets it go and thinking this might be just an illegal shift. But what we want to do on these plays is just shut this down, because here is the restriction for the offense. No player of Team A can simulate the start of the play, and that's what we do here. So just because he's a back, not on the line of scrimmage, does not mean he can simulate the start of the play and then just reposition as if this were a shift. It's not a shift. This action simulates the start of the play, and it's a foul. Shut this play down, mark it off. Let's get to the next play. Let's stay with false starts here and take a look at this play. You recognize this is a swinging gate formation, which is a trick play by philosophy. These get the highest degree of scrutiny and must be 100% legal. I want to point you at the rule book and definition rule 2.40.2. And this is on page 37 of the 17 rule book. And Article 2 just says the snap begins when the snapper first moves the ball legally, other than an adjustment. And in the snap, the movement must be quick and continuous backward motion of the ball, during which the ball immediately leaves the hands of the snapper and touches a back or the ground before it touches an A lineman. Now let's look at this play now that we know the definition of the snap. A couple of problems with this snap. First of all, there's a flinch by the center. His rear end pops. And that's big enough for a foul. I would shut this play down right away. Referee is going to be looking right at this. Umpire is going to be looking at this. If either one of you recognize this flinch, just shut this play down. And now the action of the snap, you can see the center kind of picks the ball up and then flips it backwards. The end zone is a better view of both the flinch and of the illegal snap. And umpires, this is one I think you just absolutely got to get. But referee, I think you got to get the flinch also. So 2 chances here to shut this play down. We missed both of them. The try is no good, but this is a foul. Dead ball, illegal snap. Mark it off. Let's go on to the next play. Okay, let's move along into pop-up kicks. I'm going to have to rush through this a little bit because I'm way behind schedule. 3 plays to look at here in this first segment and a 4th play, all involving pop-up kicks. Now let's look at these plays. What I want to remind you about a pop-up kick is a kick that's driven immediately into the ground and then pops up high into the air. And we've just determined that high into the air is going to be over the kicker's heads. So it's just a simple, consistent way that we can officiate these plays. If the ball hits the ground immediately and then goes a short distance and then hits the ground again and then pops up into the air, that is not a pop-up kick. A pop-up kick is a kick that's driven immediately into the ground and then pops up high in the air above the kicker's heads. Let's watch these first 2 plays and notice the ball driven immediately into the ground, pops up above the kicker's heads, and we've got this melee down here. Second play kick is exactly the same way. Ball pops immediately into the ground, pops up into the air above the kicker's heads, and then we've got a mess. This is the play we're trying to eliminate from the game because this is a play where people get hurt. A lot of head injuries in these plays. Now let's look at this third pop-up kick, potentially by the same team. Notice how this kick is driven immediately into the ground and then does not pop back up into the air. This is a legal kick. The first 2 I showed you are fouls, should have been blown dead. We improperly officiate these plays. Now let's take a look at this 4th kick play, and we've got some really good high-definition video on this one. But watch, the kick goes into the ground, straight up into the air. This one's really high. This is like twice as high as the kicker's heads. And we get no call. We do not shut this play down because remember, this is a dead ball foul. This play should be shut down immediately. And as the receiver here muffs the kick, notice this contact. Ooh. And what I want to point out to this is the receiver is focusing on the ball. So his physical positioning and focus of concentration makes him more susceptible to injury. This is a classic defenseless player who's attempting to complete a catch, or a recovery, I should say, because the ball has hit the ground. Now, I want to point out the action of this kicking team player right before the impact. Notice how he's lowering his posture. He's also lowering his head and initiating contact with the crown of his helmet. This is a targeting foul. This is the type of foul that we want to eliminate from the game. We would support a disqualification on this play for targeting, striking the opponent with the crown of the head with forcible contact above the shoulders. I mean, we get hit right in the mouth on this play. Very, very dangerous play. And improperly officiated as we miss the pop-up kick, which is a dead ball foul, and then we miss the targeting foul on a defenseless receiver. I know the kick plays are tough, but we've got to recognize these pop-up kicks. Very simply, strikes the ground one time, goes up into the air, rises above the level of the kickers. When that happens, shut these plays down. They're illegal pop-up kicks, they're dead ball fouls, back them up 5, and we'll re-kick. All right, let's take a look at this play, and this is a play that I've reversed courses on from my conversation with the coach until video review by senior staff. Let's look at this as quarterback scrambles out, dumps the ball to a wide receiver who just slips in between the coverage over the top, and then runs down the sideline, and this defensive back comes in and lays this lick on him. End zone shots, the best look at this play. I want you to notice the positioning of the defender right before impact. What he does with his head is critically important. And we'll get on the wheel here and run it back and forth in slow motion, but you can notice that he lowers his head. And then he initiates contact with his opponent above the shoulder. Well, this is forcible contact intended to punish the opponent. There's no other reason why you're going to lower your head and hit with the crown of the helmet like this. This is an illegal contact foul. And it is forcible contact above the shoulders to the head area of the defender. And this is a flagrant personal foul. Again, we would have supported a disqualification on this play. We get no call. So tough play here to officiate. I know these happen really, really fast. Back judge probably got a good look at this. A little tight for the sideline official, but one of those that maybe if you get a better position, work this play more at a 45-degree angle trailing, that you get a better look at this, because this is a foul that we need to get. Moving along quickly, we're running out of time here, and I've got a few more plays I want to show you. This is just the quarterback scrambling, being chased by 2 big linemen, nowhere to go, nothing to do, and he throws the ball up the field here, gets it to the line of scrimmage, although that doesn't matter. There's no one in the area. Head linesman, there's nobody. This guy's 5 yards. He has no chance to catch this ball. Something, too, for the umpires here. Normally, we don't think about the umpire as coming in and helping the referee with intentional grounding, but you've got nobody engaged in this. From this wide shot, you can see there's just nothing out here. So I would expect that you might have information that you could share with the referee. There's no eligible receiver in the area. Head linesman, certainly you should come to that. Back judge, you've worked from man to zone to ball. I would expect you to have an opinion. Come running into the referee and tell him no receiver in the area. Does not matter in high school if the quarterback's out of the pocket. Does not matter in high school if the ball makes it to the line of scrimmage. You've got to have an eligible receiver in the area before you can throw this ball. There's no way to legally ground the ball in high school except to take a direct hand-to-hand snap from the center and immediately spike the ball into the ground. That is the only way to legally ground the ball in the National Federation of High Schools. Important for all officials to have a good pre-snap routine. Recognize that you do the same thing over and over again. Develop good habits, and you'll be successful. But you also have to be quick to recognize when things have changed, and we're mechanically in something different, especially for line of scrimmage officials on tries for point and on field goals. Because in this play, the line judge has vacated the line of scrimmage. Head linesman's working the entire line of scrimmage. And these plays are tough if you get into a routine like you normally officiate just your side of the line of scrimmage. We talk about don't fish in another official's pond. But on these plays, you got the whole line of scrimmage. Another point for referees. Don't blow the ready for play until you're completely backed out and ready to officiate. And don't be afraid to help with line of scrimmage plays on the side of the field where you're now occupying where the vacated official has left. Because that's why we moved that official, because you're over here and you can help. The neutral zone is tough to officiate from the angle that you're in. But let's watch this play develop. The defensive end comes in and he is clearly encroaching on the neutral zone for the ball snap. This is a foul. And we miss it. Referee does notice it, but is hesitant to rule on this play because of the bad angle that he's got. But very confident that this was a foul, and we had a conversation after the play, but it's too late then. So we got to shut these plays down. The important message for the line of scrimmage official: Don't get into your normal everyday mechanics and worry about just your side of the line. You got to open up and see the whole thing. The important message for referees: be willing to help out on the line of scrimmage on your side of the field. That's why we use this mechanic. Really tough with 5 officials, but we got to get these plays right. Got 3 plays here that I want to look at real quick. Got tight, wide, and got end zone shots too. And what we've got here is quarterback in shotgun formation, and the ball leaving the zone pretty quickly, and the defensive end coming in and cutting the pulling guard on these plays. And a couple of points I want to make. First, umpires, when your key, the guard, pulls and gets to the outside, you're going to have to figure out a way to get one eyeball on him and one eyeball on your other keys. And I know that's difficult to do. Same suggestion for the referee. If you see these players pull to the outside, you might want to stick with them a little bit. Your vision should be broad and wide from your position on the field. You might be able to help with these. Line of scrimmage officials. When these players get to the outside and they're on the end of the line and the defense comes in and cuts them, you've got to recognize that. Your key is giving you run, so you're staying near the line of scrimmage in your mechanical position, but you're also focused there because you're reading this play as a run play, so these blocks on the edge are going to be critically important, even when the ball goes up the middle. So I would expect that these would come out. The problem that we have with this is we run about 3 or 4 plays in a row where these blocks are going on, and the coach is losing his mind, communicating with the officials, and we're unable to make the call. I know it's difficult to get word out, but when you have a coach complaining about the same thing for 2 or 3 plays in a row, you're going to have to figure out a way to keep an eye on your key and to also watch this area the coach is trying to help you with. And if you're able to pick that foul up, great. But when you go in to report your foul, go to whoever key this is. In this case, this would be the umpire, and tell him exactly what you called and what the coach has been communicating to you. If you're unable to pick the foul up before the next play, or the next timeout, when you get to a timeout, communicate with the crew what's going on with your sideline. This is valuable information that we need to use. And we're just highlighting these areas where these players are getting cut and showing you a look at them. These are all fouls for illegal blocks below the waist. We do finally pick this play up and make the call. The umpire makes it after communication from the sideline in a timeout. And once we make the call, the team stops these illegal blocks. But unfortunately, it took us a little while to make this call. But we got to be aware of these players. Pulling guards are especially vulnerable to being cut by defensive ends, so keep your eye out for this play. We need to make these calls for illegal blocks below the waist. Let's take a look at this play here and highlight the left tackle, as we're going to get the referee calling an offensive holding play as we watch this play develop here. Nothing I can put in the category of offensive holding. There's no grab and restrict, no hook and restrict, no takedown. Nothing that just jumps out at me as being offensive holding here. There's probably a grab on the inside the referee can see that we can't see in this video, but it's not big enough. It doesn't materially restrict the defender's pursuit or his path to the ball carrier. But what I want to do is I go back to the beginning of the play is I want you to watch this little scat back here. It goes in motion, and a defender comes out here and just rips his head off. Obviously grabs some kind of opening of the helmet because he completely elevates the running back off of his feet and slings him to the ground. The helmet comes flying off. This is obvious a face mask foul. And right in front of the head linesman who has no call. So when the coach sends this play in, what do we say? We say, Coach, this is a incorrect call for offensive holding. There's no material restriction. It's just not big enough. And no call for the head linesman on his obviously a face mask foul. For our line of scrimmage officials, really just for all officials, what we can take away from this play is we've got to recognize the potential for foul and not guard or officiate players who have no threat of being fouled and get to the potential threats. It's difficult to do with 5 guys, but hey, that's why we make the big bucks, right? 2 more plays real quick here. The first one I want to show, a little trickery here, razzle-dazzle, big number 71. The tackle covered up on the line of scrimmage here. The quarterback rolls out across the field. Here's a backward pass to number 71 for a touchdown. Properly officiated here. Backward passes, anyone, anywhere, anytime can receive a backward pass. There's no eligibility requirements. There's no positioning requirements. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. Touchdown, properly officiated display. All right, last play here. And now this is a defensive back going up trying to make an interception. This big wide receiver lowers a boom on him. Wham. The defensive back is a defenseless player. Physical positioning, focus of concentration, making more susceptible to injury. But this wide receiver uses the shoulder. The contact is in the torso, separates the defender from the ball. Perfectly legal hit on a defenseless player. Not all hits on defenseless players are fouls, but these ones where we target the head, or there's unnecessary roughness, or we lower the head and use the crown of the helmet, they are all fouls. But here's a good example of a defenseless player being separated from the ball, perfectly legal hit. That's it for this week's training video. Thanks for sharing some time with us. A lot of plays today. We kind of moved at a fast pace. I promised you last week that I was going to start on the all but one principle, and I just didn't have room for it in today's training video, but in the description below there is a link to it. You can check out that video. It's about 8 minutes long. Next week we'll have a follow-up section to that, and we'll probably finish up through that in the next 3 or 4 weeks as the season winds down. One thing I wanted to do was get in the mailbag and share some letters that I've gotten from the last few weeks that I haven't had a chance to get to. This one's from Brian K. Todd. I really appreciate you sharing your videos. I'm stationed over in Japan with the Navy, and we don't get a lot of time for training, nor do we have the most experience over here. I've been officiating for 6 years now. I'm stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. Prior to this, I continue to work on my game, and I hope to continue to learn more. Thanks again for the videos. Take care, Brian K. Brian, thank you for your hard work for high school football, and thank you for your service to our country. One more real quick. Hi, Todd. My name is Tom, and I'm a 24-year football official in Connecticut and part of the New Haven Football Officials Association. We use your videos regularly during our meetings, and I have to say they are top-notch. Keep up the great work, Tommy V. Great to hear from you, Tommy. I appreciate all of the emails. I don't always have time to answer all of them, but I do read them all, and I appreciate you checking out the videos. For the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, this is Todd Allen saying I hope to see you on the field real soon.